12 inches. That was roughly the distance between Sarah Boone and George Torres during the final moments of his life. Just a thin layer of suitcase fabric separated them. On one side was a man trapped inside a shrinking pocket of air, desperately trying to breathe. On the other side was a woman holding complete control over his fate. The physical distance between them was almost nothing. The emotional distance was immeasurable. And that is what makes this case so disturbing. Because George Torres did not die alone in a remote location. He died within earshot of someone who could hear every plea, every cry, every desperate attempt to survive. The question is not simply how he died. The question is why his suffering became entertainment. At some point during the night, whatever began as a drunken game stopped being a game. The moment Sarah zipped the suitcase shut, the balance of power changed. George could not leave. Sarah could. George could not move freely. Sarah could. George could not control what happened next. Sarah controlled everything. The prosecution later argued that Sarah wanted to teach George a lesson. Whether that lesson was about past arguments, past abuse, or years of resentment, the videos reveal something important. She was not simply observing his suffering, she was participating in it. Even more disturbing, she was recording it. People often use cameras to preserve happy memories. Sarah used her phone to preserve a moment of power. The recordings transformed George from a person into an object under her control. His pain became a scene. His fear became content, and Sarah became both director and audience. The most chilling moments in the videos are not the insults. They are not even the threats. They are the moments when George says the simplest words imaginable. "I can't breathe." There is no mystery in that statement, no hidden meaning, no manipulation, no ambiguity. A man trapped inside a suitcase was saying exactly what was happening to him. He could not breathe. But Sarah's response revealed the emotional reality of their relationship. "That's what it feels like when you choke me." With those words, something remarkable happened. The conversation stopped being about the present. Instead, it became about the past. George was no longer a man struggling for oxygen. He became a symbol of every injury, every argument, every grievance Sarah carried with her. Whether those grievances were real, exaggerated, or somewhere in between, is almost beside the point. What matters is that Sarah appeared to believe his suffering was justified. His pain became repayment. His fear became punishment. And punishment requires indifference. A compassionate person hears someone say, "I can't breathe," and responds immediately. An angry person may hesitate, but someone seeking emotional revenge hears those words and chooses not to care. That distinction matters. Because indifference is not passive. Sometimes it is an active decision. To understand how this happened, you have to look beyond the suitcase. The videos were not the beginning of the story. They were the final chapter of a relationship that had been collapsing for years. Both Sarah and George struggled with alcohol. Police had responded to multiple domestic incidents involving the couple. There were allegations of abuse, arrests, arguments, reconciliations, then more arguments. Their relationship had become a cycle of pain that neither seemed capable of escaping. By the time George entered that suitcase, years of resentment had already accumulated. Every unresolved conflict remained alive beneath the surface. The suitcase did not create the anger. It merely gave that anger a stage. In many ways, the videos reveal what happens when old wounds become moral permission. Sarah appeared to convince herself that George deserved whatever happened next. And once someone reaches that point, empathy becomes dangerously easy to abandon. What ultimately destroyed Sarah's defense was not a witness. It was not a confession. It was technology. Sarah believed she controlled the story. When police arrived, she described a tragic accident, a drunken game of hide and seek, two people laughing, a terrible misunderstanding. But her phone told a different story. The phone had no loyalty. It had no emotions. It had no reason to protect her. Unlike human memory, it simply preserved reality. And reality showed something devastating. Sarah claimed both of them were laughing. The videos showed only one person laughing. Sarah claimed she forgot George was inside the suitcase. The videos showed a woman fully aware that he was trapped and pleading for help. Sarah claimed she feared for her safety. The videos showed a woman calm enough to record, comment, and mock the man inside. Every contradiction weakened her credibility. Every recording stripped away another layer of the narrative she was trying to construct. For years, George Torres risked becoming a secondary character in his own death. Discussions focused on Sarah, on the trial, on the defense, on the shocking videos. But George was more than evidence. He was more than a victim inside a suitcase. He was a son. He was a father. He was a human being. Standing just 5 feet 3 inches tall and weighing approximately 103 pounds, George was physically vulnerable even before he became trapped. His family later spoke about the man they lost. Not a headline. Not a courtroom exhibit. A person. That perspective matters because true crime often reduces victims to plot devices. The legal system asks how someone died. Families remember how someone lived. And those are not always the same conversation. One of the most fiercely debated aspects of the case involved Sarah's claim of battered spouse syndrome. Her defense argued that years of abuse had shaped her perception of danger. Experts testified about trauma, fear, and psychological conditioning. These issues deserve serious consideration. Domestic violence is real. Trauma is real. The effects of prolonged abuse can be profound, but the central question remained. Would a person genuinely fearing for her life stop to record videos? Would she laugh? Would she mock? Would she go upstairs and sleep? That final decision may have mattered more than anything else. Because regardless of what happened before, George was alive when Sarah walked away. He was still speaking, still breathing, still asking for help. The prosecution argued that going to bed transformed negligence into something much darker. It demonstrated not fear, but disregard, not panic, but choice. As the case moved forward, Sarah's story continued to evolve. At first, it was a harmless game. Then she claimed she could not remember recording the videos. Later, she admitted striking the suitcase with a baseball bat while George was inside. Each new explanation raised another question. Each revision damaged her credibility. And even after conviction, Sarah continued portraying herself as the true victim. Letters criticizing judges, attorneys, jurors, and others only reinforced the impression that she could not fully accept responsibility. The tragedy of narcissism is that it often prevents self-reflection. Everyone else becomes the problem. Everyone else becomes the villain. The truth becomes negotiable. The jury saw things differently. After listening to days of testimony, reviewing evidence, and hearing competing narratives, they reached a decision with remarkable speed. Why? Because some evidence speaks more powerfully than any lawyer ever could. The videos did not require interpretation. Jurors heard George's voice. They heard fear. They heard desperation. And they heard Sarah laughing. Sound carries emotional weight in a way documents never can. Statistics can be debated. Expert opinions can be challenged. But hearing a man beg for air while another person mocks him creates an impression that is nearly impossible to erase. The courtroom became more than a place of legal argument. It became a place where jurors experienced the reality of those final moments. And ultimately, that reality proved overwhelming. In the end, George Torres was not killed by a suitcase. A suitcase is an object. Objects have no intentions. What killed him was a series of choices. The choice to leave him trapped. The choice to ignore his pleas. The choice to treat suffering as punishment. The choice to walk away. And perhaps most importantly, the choice to do nothing. That is why this case continues to resonate with so many people. Because it forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Cruelty is not always explosive. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it looks like a person standing 12 inches away from another human being and deciding that their pain no longer matters. Sarah Boone maintained her innocence for years. Even as the evidence mounted, even as the videos played, even as a jury found her guilty, even as a life sentence was imposed, she continued to see herself as the victim. But the recordings preserved something she could never rewrite. A man asking for help, a woman choosing not to listen, and in that 12-inch space between them, compassion disappeared. The moment compassion vanished, George Torres's chances of survival disappeared with it.
Or the haltery, so why?
Okay. What about the scratches? Because there's also sex.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's also like a scratch on like the back of his neck, like kind of like going, but it's like going straight across.
I have no idea what that's from.
And they're all recent. Like they occurred recently. It wasn't something that occurred post or that occurred a week ago or 2 days ago, 3 days ago. They definitely occurred, the night leading up to when he was.
In all honesty, we have not gotten into it.
Okay.
That's why, the only thing I thought you guys were going to ask me about, which I was going to be honest with you anyway, are the scratch marks on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I have no idea what it is. No idea what it is. Nonetheless, I've had my son over the house too, so.
Well, your son was there when? When was he last there?
Oh, gosh.
My understanding he was there like last Tuesday.
I don't know if it was Tuesday, but yes, he was there last week, so.
Well, we're talking about Sunday.
Yeah.
We're just talking about